Hello, everyone, again. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. I am so happy to bring Coach Nelson again. Him and I are building a library full of information for fitness professionals, coaches, personal trainers. You guys have probably been watching our content that we've been producing and collecting the file for you. Just to brief you guys on that, we've been doing this for a while, and our mission is to help coaches all over the world, the younger personal trainers. We can learn from what Nelson's and mine journeys have been in our industry, and hopefully we can uh, help pave and path the way to knowledge and information in this industry. So without further delay, Coach Nelson, what is up?
Yes, I feel good. I'm so glad we could chat again and offer value to the audience members. Our industry it's been interesting. Let's go ahead and put that in air quotes. There's a lot of changes, and so a lot to talk about.
So, Nelson, I've got a very important question for you today. I don't know what's happening in your state. I'm sure you're going to tell me, but I just want to brief you in. Own Your Fitness, our company, personal training and online personal training around the outside of New York area. Just to brief you in, Jersey City area where we're physically, now that we do virtual training in New York and everything, the restaurants have opened up, and there is consensus on phased out openings. I'm sure you've heard that. So someone reached out to me from a box gym here, and they're phasing out their openings. There's still a lot of concern because our clients at Own Your Fitness are reaching out to us and saying whether we're going to do in-person personal training. We've said, for the sake of health, safety, and making sure that we still quite don't understand what's going to happen in July, August, and September. We're still doing virtual training, and which we've been very successful at delivering quality service. So I want to know what your state is doing, what your following is doing, and what your clients are doing, and what your take is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm based in Silicon Valley, so we're very densely populated, but there's 9 different counties within the Bay Area. And funny that you bring that, because depending on where you are placed, the city, the county, and obviously in the state, there's all these different regulations. So we just got the Cal OSHA regulations for the entire state, but based in my particular county, we're still a little bit more strict. We are still sheltered in place. But the next 2 counties next door, they're in the opening phases. So they're slowly rolling things out. Now, I bring this up, and I always have to do air quotes because they always provide guidelines. But the guidelines are best practices. There is no one straightforward answer for every single yoga studio to follow. Not one straightforward answer for all spin studios to follow. So as business owners of a brick and mortar, we're all doing our best. So it always goes down to, hey, are we still practicing safe distancing protocols? Are we cleaning the hell out of our spaces? And are we intentionally providing the best service that we can for the clients and still keeping the public health in high regard? I think that's always going to be in the back of our minds, no matter what regulations that we really try to find a straightforward answer. But I think we have to accept there isn't going to be one. So according to the regulations, according to Congress, according to alliances among the fitness community, everyone's just trying to do their best to do their best in order to keep everyone safe. Now, a lot of the business owners have moved their services online or outside, which is wonderful. You have to get that revenue. It's obvious. Now, the tricky part about our situation is that all the businesses and everyone involved moved really fast, like super, super fast. So let me take a step back, take everyone a step back. If you're in a position in the brick and mortar and you are moving services online, I want you to make one phone call before you actually do that. Now you have the opportunity to do so. Call your insurance, because you want to make sure that all virtual classes are actually covered by your insurance. I called, and this applies for personal trainers. So personal trainers, I go through K&K Insurance. It's really common, and their policy doesn't cover online services. You have to get general liability. It's a whole totally different policy. You have to opt into it in order to provide services virtually, because you are accountable for something like someone is already training you on the other side of the screen, but they're technically not their client. Things like children. So if there's no policy set in place, you're technically liable for whoever's actually doing your exercise program. So I want you to make sure you are set up individually with a proper insurance. Now, if you're a brick and mortar and you're moving classes outside, okay, there's going to be 3 phone calls I want you to make. 1, you still have to call your insurance provider. So depending on your policy, it's made clear if your policy covers all physical activities within the confinements of the building. not necessarily the parking lot, not necessarily anywhere outside of the four walls. If you're in a park, most likely it doesn't cover activities there. So I want you to call your insurance. I always want to make sure you guys are safe. The second call, if you're going to be taking place on a public property, on parks, okay, you do have to have a permit. So any commercial residence, any commercial activity, whether it be a fitness classes or if it's going to be like really, really quick, not just the fitness industry, everyone who uses the parks have to have permits. Now, the tricky part is that a lot of the government offices are closed right now. So even if you call, even if you send an email, you may or may not get a response, which may put your service line on hold because you literally cannot use public property. And I say that because on Instagram, I see a lot of people moving their classes to parks. I don't know how many people are actually doing it legally. I don't know how many people are actually permitted to use public property for their business. Okay, just the sound of it just doesn't sound right. So I want business owners to be abiding by their local ordinances. Now, the third phone call, if you own a brick and mortar, call your landlord. And this is going to be another part. I'm going to segue into a different part for you brick and mortar people. Call your landlord, because depending on your rental agreement, you may not be able to use the parking lot, be able to use the sidewalk, be able to use any space in front of the other tenants. And that may construe or block any of the type of commercial activities the other tenants have. It depends on your rental agreement. Some landlords are a little bit more flexible. Some commercial property owners are not. And I don't want you to get in trouble. So 3 phone calls: your landlord, your insurance provider, and your city. Okay, so that's if you move brick and mortar. Now, going forward, now the next part. This is pretty, I'm going to preface, this can be anxiety inducing. Brick and mortar people. Granted, I understand that your revenue is coming down and it's difficult to move forward. Your labor and your rent are always going to be super expensive. They're your top 2 expenses on your profit and loss statement. So given that you're having a decrease in revenue and you may or may not have laid people off or let people go, and you may not be having a small business loan to help you with all of the rent and the payroll, it's the rent that might get you. Now, depending on where you are, you really have to understand the moratoriums that are placed on small businesses as a whole, depending on your county. And it's super common here in the Bay Area, happened in another county, where all small businesses have moratoriums set for the entire time that they were closed. They don't have to pay rent. But depending on the county, the second that you reopen your doors, you may be accountable for all the back pay, either 50% of it or all in full. If you're paying up to 50%, if your county said that you can just pay up to 50% for X number of months, then it's at a later date, you have to pay back not only at the current amount, but also the back pay. So here in my county, you have a moratorium. You didn't have to pay for about 3 or 4 months. The second that you open, it's about 50% for about 6 months. So this time, almost next year, you're responsible for paying for the full amount plus back pay. If you do the math, that's 1.5.
Wow.
So moratorium buys you time, but it doesn't alleviate you from the rent costs.
Right.
So brick and mortar people, I want you to be take a look at how the trend is going forward. Look at your revenue, look at your service lines. I'm not going to say if it's a good or a bad situation. Again, everything is new, but you really do want to sit down and make those phone calls to make sure that going forward, your financial statements are in place. Okay. So it's pretty urgent.
Absolutely. So this is a hot topic. The reason is because as a coach and as someone who's asking a lot of questions and reflecting on where we're going in the industry, and a lot of our clients at Own Your Fitness is asking us, so where do we as an industry in fitness and coaching are headed right now in the future?
It's going to be it's going to be interesting. There's going to be obviously higher levels of cleanliness and protocols. Right now, a lot of the big box gyms are relocating altogether after they have laid off a lot of people. Case in point is 24 Hour Fitness. Unfortunately, and I have to be upfront, we have to come to the terms, not all businesses are going to survive. So depending on your financial situation, there are going to be businesses filing for bankruptcy just to alleviate the debts. And unfortunately, we have to accept that. That applies across the board. Will everyone be virtual coaches? To be honest, in my opinion, no. Because there's always going to be that population, not only of consumers, but also of coaches who survived on online virtual trainings, but their heart is on one-on-one. I know for me, I love being in person. I love being able to touch my clients. I love being able to guide their hips and posterior chain movements and proper squat and things like that. I love being with people. So for me, virtual training was a great interim, but my personality wasn't there. I could think on speak on behalf on many people. So it's always interesting to see when people say like, "Oh, virtual training is going to blow up." We don't know, because a lot of clients really miss going to the gym. It's just going to be really spaced out now, and reservation times, people are just going to be coming in based on, you know, what time that they reserve. Big companies who are, you know, the Spin and the Mirror and Peloton and things like that, who offer at-home workouts, granted that their equipment is really good and useful, but we also have to put them, my opinion, I also put them in the category of they're still at-home fitness equipment. They're useful until they're not. Case in point, the fitness Wii, the Nintendo Wii, if anyone remembers that, that was supposed to revolutionize the fitness industry. Anyone use it? So give these products, have them go through the typical product life cycle. There's always going to be a saturation point. Then there's always going to be a demise. Always. And it happens to every single product, no matter what you're looking at, no matter what you're thinking. So you're literally looking at a mirror that is giving you a workout. It's going to be interesting for the time that you're working at home. But what if you go back to work? What if you move? What if your finances can't support the subscription for it anymore? You're going to get rid of it. And so every product is going to go through the product life cycle. So I wouldn't get too attached as like, this is going to be the next big wave. We don't know. What we do know is everyone is trying to go back to our normal. And our normal was, there's a certain population who wants to be in the gym. There's a certain population who wants to work one-on-one. There's a certain population who really resonate with at-home trainings. Everyone just wants to go back. So.
Right. The one thing I can definitely interject with what you just told me about the Wii, because that really brought a laughter to me, because I've used the Wii to remember that product, and you brought up a good point, is that doesn't matter what product or what gadget the fitness industry introduces, there is still going to and always going to be a sound space for really talented, skillful, passionate, and caring coaches.
Yes.
So that's always going to remain, in my professional opinion.
Absolutely. You can't, and also in practicality sense, there's also some formats you can't replicate online. So you can't replicate swim coaches. You can't replicate mixed martial arts or dojos or boxing. You can't. My brother owns a dojo not too far from here in a different county, and he's struggling because a lot of his students have regressed. You need that physical, it's a high contact sport. So you need that physical contact, and you have to admit there's going to be some formats and there's going to be some demographics. Virtual training, it just does not work.
Right.
So we have to go back. There's an equilibrium in the fitness industry we have to maintain.
Okay, so it definitely is a loaded topic for all of us, and I'm glad that you're sharing this with me. I'm going to ask you one more question. So my question next is, what can small boutique style coaching companies like yours and mine, or even a little bit mid-sized coaching company, a little bit bigger than ours in terms of size, and then there is that one sole proprietor coach type of business as well. What are your best tips right now, if you were to say, from now on until whenever we find out the evolution trail takes us?
Mm-hmm. I would say have the mentality now more than ever to think in terms of an investor, because we've been so dependent on sales. We've been so dependent on exchanging time for money and getting cash in terms of revenue. Now is the opportunity, and you are technically forced to look at cash as a different way. Let's say you have an SBA loan. You're paying for all your bills, which is great, but it doesn't get you to the next level. Again, we're planning for when your rent is going to increase. We're planning for, that's another thing. We're waiting for your taxes to increase. So if every city and every county, every state has deficits because no one could collect sales taxes, obviously in order to rectify that January 1st, almost everywhere, your taxes are going to increase. So we're preparing for these additional costs. Now, if you're in a situation where you understand where your revenue is, how do you actually make that money grow? How do you
Mm.
actually make that money grow passively? Where's your portfolio income? So now more than ever, it's going to be important to shift your mindset of, I'm going to sell you something, you give me money. Now you have to take that one step further. How can I take this money and actually grow so I can prepare it for what's going to come up in the next 6 to 8 months? So if you already have your logo, start looking at it, trademark it, start thinking about product that you could sell and put it on e-commerce. If you have a book, if you're a writer, start looking into copyrights, start launching that particular methodology that makes you special. You should also consider about becoming a social media influencer, having product to your name.
Mm.
If you're independent, you have a little bit more flexibility because as your business entity, you understand your business entity, you can accumulate assets underneath your business entity. So do take a look at stocks, do take a look at real estate and commodities, start really investing in. For business owners, if you're a brick and mortar, then maybe you want to start looking at alliances or partnerships or an entire network. The entire fitness industry, specifically in California, has an alliance. So the 24-hour fitness, the Anytime Fitness, the Gold's Gyms, in order to exchange, become this brainstorming network. So once become a brainstorming network, we all know the concept of you achieve better success working with others rather than independently. So as a brick and mortar, why are you trying to survive independently? Why don't all the yoga studios join together and start collaborating to see how we can grow? You know, start thinking in terms of alliance and start thinking in terms of how other possible investments that you can make your cash grow.
Yeah, we're all in this together. Hashtag we're all in it together. And I totally agree that, the whole world is getting smaller and we're literally all in it together.
Yeah.
Before I forget, this is great information, by the way, Coach Nelson. Where can my followers and my audience find you if they want to pick your brain with something?
Absolutely. CoachNellyToriano.com is my website. My email is nelson@CoachNellyToriano.com. That's also my Instagram handle. LinkedIn is my proper name, Nelson E. Toriano. But yeah, shoot me an email. I would love to brainstorm and help as many people as I can. Again, I have to preface, we're in this together. We're going to get through, we're in this, we're going to get through this together. So let's talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And once again, everyone, this is some valuable information. We're only doing this to help the coaching professionals of any type of coaching business, fitness professionals, life coaches, life changers. I consider myself a life changer. Nelson considers himself a life changer. So if you've got a question or a comment, drop it in my YouTube comment and I will get back to you. And remember, we're going to build up a massive library of information as a legacy to leave behind us to help you guys. So with that, I do thank you, Coach Nelson. Have a great Friday, and I will see you on the next talk.
All right. Take care.